Happy Christmas morning, everybody! It is Fat Kid Certified Sports Entertainment. We're here to talk about the World Series. It is Christmas morning for people like me who enjoy baseball way too much. The Houston Astros have punched their ticket. The Washington Nationals have punched their ticket. ALCS MVP Jose Altuve. I don't have an NLCS MVP Howie Kendrick Funko because nobody thought Howie Kendrick was going to win the NLCS MVP. We're here to talk about what happened in the AL and the NLCS. We're going to talk about the World Series. We're going to talk about the rosters. We're going to talk about some more fun things leading into that. And I will give you my final prediction on who I think is going to hoist the 2019 World Series trophy. But we're going to go back. We're going to talk about the LCSs and how both teams got here. We'll start in the National League because that one was quick, fast, and in a hurry. The Washington Nationals 93-69 won the wild card game. They defeated the LA Dodgers and then go into St. Louis and sweep the Cardinals in 4 straight. The Cardinals got past the Braves in 5 games. This one was over before it started. Howie Kendrick, like I said, is the NLCS MVP. The big thing here was the pitching of the Washington Nationals. Anibal Sanchez went in Game 1 through 8 shutout innings. Had a no-no going into the 8th. And then they were slammed the door right after by Max Scherzer, who took a no-no into the 6th. So the fact that St. Louis didn't have a hit through basically 14 out of 15 innings on their home field before Scherzer lost the no-no made it very, very bad for the Cardinals. This one was out of hand very early. The Nats exploded for 7 runs in the top of the first in Game 4 to hammer down the sweep. The Nationals outscored the Cardinals 20-6. The Cardinals set a LCS record for worst batting average as a team. They hit 130. They hit 16 of 123 as a team. And the thing is, the Cardinals were damaged by the big inning on the road. Game 3, the Nationals scored 4 in the 3rd, and in Game 4, like I mentioned, they scored 7 in the 1st. The Game 4 inning, if you watch that back, was mistake after mistake after mistake by the Cardinals defense, and I don't think they were able to. They stayed in the fight for a while in that game. They rallied back. They made it 7-4, but it was just one of those things where that game was pretty much over after the first. It didn't matter what they could do. I know they scored a ton of runs on the Braves in the first inning of Game 5, but it was just one of those things where it just didn't make sense that they were going to be able to do that again against a team with better pitching. The Washington Nationals are absolutely loaded from the pitching front, and the fact that they're getting great starts from Anibal Sanchez in the playoffs makes them that much deeper. They were able to use Patrick Corbin out of the bullpen in that Dodgers series, which was big for them to get outs. They were able to give Max Scherzer and Steven Strasburg full rest. I think that's big for those guys, especially at this stage of the season. This is the deepest that Strasburg has ever pitched into the playoffs. Scherzer's pitched in the World Series before with the Tigers. So I think the Nationals, their depth there, and the fact their bullpen has been absolutely slammed the door lights out. Tanner Rainey's been really good. Fernando Rodney's been really good. They put Joe Ross on the World Series roster, which we'll get into. Patrick Corbin, like I said, came out of the bullpen, was good for them. Sean Doolittle's been lights out. And Daniel Hudson has been a slam-the-door closer that they didn't have for a while because of Sean Doolittle's ineffectiveness earlier in the season. With Daniel Hudson coming back from the paternity list, he missed Game 1. Doolittle got the save. Game 2, Game 3, Game 4 were all slammed the door by Daniel Hudson. Nats move on to the World Series. Like I said, Howie Kendrick is the NLCS MVP. I wouldn't have had a problem if they gave it to the entire pitching staff just because of how good they were against the Cardinals' offense. Hitting 130 is not something that the Cardinals are known to do. I know they tried this offensive lineup and this defensive stuff. It's not going to work, and I think there's going to be some changes to the Cardinals in the near future, including potentially moving Matt Carpenter, which many people thought was never going to happen, especially after they lost Paul Goldschmidt. After they acquired Paul Goldschmidt, let me rephrase that. They obviously probably just thought he was going to slide right into third base, but Tommy Edman's been really good there, so I could see Matt Carpenter moving. Because I don't think they're going to pay $14 million for a bench piece, but we'll see what happens there. Nats, first time in 51 years that they are going to the World Series. They have broken the curse. There is only one other team that is yet to play a World Series game, and that is the Seattle Mariners. I don't think they're going to play in a World Series game in the next couple of years, so probably going to have to add on to that one. In a series that was a lot closer than what it looks like on paper, the Houston Astros win the ALCS. They win in 6 games. Jose Altuve, the 2019 ALCS MVP. He smashed the cover off the ball this entire series. But we're going to go into game one. Zack Greinke had a meltdown. And I think it's obvious that I don't know if the big lights and the bright stage is right for Greinke. No offense to him. He's a great pitcher in the regular season. But I feel like when every person in America is watching him, I think he just melts under butter. He did it in game one. Gleyber Torres had 5 RBIs. Tanaka pitched like he does normally in the playoffs, only giving up 1 hit over 7 innings. Yankees take game 1 7-0. Game 2, this one is where I think this series switched and turned, and I'm going to say it because of the overmanagement of Aaron Boone. James Paxton got the start, goes 2 1/3 after Boone pulled him. He had only given up 1 run at the time. Judge homers to make it 2-1. Houston ties the game with a Springer blast. Verlander goes 6 2/3. The bullpens match 0 until Carlos Correa takes J.A. Happ deep in the 11th to walk off game 2. Here's the thing. The Yankees bullpen has been really, really, really good. And I'm not going to sit here and deny the fact that they've been good pretty much all year. But whenever you know you're going to probably play 6 or 7 games against a team in the playoffs, you probably don't want to unload the entire tank. Well, unfortunately, in Game 2, that's exactly what the Yankees did. They went to everybody in that game. It's like I said, it started with who did it start with? Oh, it started with Paxton, and they made the decision to pull him super early, which didn't make any sense to me. I just thought that he wasn't in trouble. It was one of those where he pressed the panic button. 2 1/3, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. But then listen to who he goes to afterwards. He goes 2 innings from Chad Green, who we'll get to in a minute. Adam Ottavino's been terrible in the playoffs. He goes a third of an inning, gives up a run. Tommy Kahnle goes 2 innings. Britton an inning. Chapman an inning. Sabathia a third of an inning. Losingana goes 0 hitters. He gives up 2 walks. Happ goes 2/3 of an inning before giving up the game-winning home run. He went to the entire bullpen in Game 2. And this is going to play a major factor in what happens later in the series because now they've seen them. They've seen every one of them. They're going to see what those guys have multiple times throughout the season, or throughout the series. They didn't really give them the ability to hide somebody in that bullpen to come in and slam the door later on in the series because he went to the same guys over and over again, and those guys are now pitching on 3, 4, 5 times in a row with 1 day off in between, if you're lucky. So it's just one of those things where I felt like the bullpen, he taxed the bullpen in Game 2, and I think it cost them later in the series. Game 3, battle of Garrett Cole versus Luis Severino. Astros score in the first on a Jose Altuve home run. Josh Reddick joins the party in the next inning, goes 2-0. Scary situation. There was a 20-minute delay in the 5th inning. Home plate umpire Jeff Nelson had to leave, getting crushed by a foul ball. Probably a concussion. We come to find out he was removed from the umpires of the rest of the LCS. It was a concussion. Super scary moment. Garrett Cole goes 7 shutout innings. Roberto Osuna throws a perfect 9th. Astros take back home field by winning Game 3 on the road in New York. Game 4 postponed due to rain, so they're going to now have to go 5, 6, 7, or 4, 5, 6, 7 with no off day for the travel because of the series now losing the travel day because of the rain out. Like I said, Jeff Nelson was removed before this due to the concussion that took place earlier in Game 3. Zack Greinke struggles again in the first inning, can't find the strike zone. Yankees walk in a run, and then they just decide to start swinging the balls out of the strike zone. Just didn't make any sense. Gary Sanchez chased like 3 balls that probably bounced before they got to the plate. He had a chance to drive in 4 runs that inning and just decided to, wet the bed. Great job. They left a boatload of guys on base in this game. Greinke goes 4 1/3. Tanaka leaves the game with a runner on base. 3 hitters later, Chad Green gives up a home run that hasn't landed yet off the bat of Carlos Correa. Gary Sanchez hits a 2-run home run to make it 6-3. That's as close as this game is going to get. Final score 8-3. Bigger story here in this game, the farewell to CC Sabathia. As you guys know, anyone who watches the channel and knows me knows I am not a fan of the New York Yankees. But I will always respect what CC Sabathia did. I respect his time in Cleveland, his pennant chase in Milwaukee where he pitched basically every other day for that Brewer team. And what he's done for New York has been big. He's been a great teammate to a bunch of guys. He's been a leader in that clubhouse, and he's someone that deserves a lot of respect from the fans and the media. So at the end of the day, to see his career end the way that it did with an arm injury and him being forced to walk off that mound at Yankee Stadium and not get the strikeout, rousing ovation, tip of the cap, the farewell that CC deserved hurt. It hurt me as a sports fan, hurt me as a baseball fan, because at the end of the day, big fat lefty, that's who I am. So it's like I kind of lived the CC Sabathia dream. So the fact that CC basically was unable to finish it on his terms kind of really sucked, and Jackson is really upset about it too, if you guys can't hear. Sorry about that. He's very, very upset about CC Sabathia not being able to finish it. So that sucks. It's a sad way to see CC's career end if, you know, that's 100% how it's going to end, because he said he wasn't going to come back. He's been battling knee injuries. I thought it was the knee originally whenever they came to get him, but definitely said it was the arm, so it's unfortunate that it's a different injury. Hopefully he can recover well to enjoy retirement. James Paxton in Game 5 goes pitch for pitch with Justin Verlander. Astros score in the first on a wild pitch. Yankees counter with 4 in the bottom of the first, a DJ LeMahieu leadoff home run, and then a 3-run Aaron Hicks home run that hit off the foul pole. Final score, Yankees 4, Astros 1. All the runs were scored in the first inning. Big piece here, Justin Verlander is able to go 7 innings, settle down after giving up the 2 home runs to make sure that the Astros bullpen wasn't gassed. Paxton goes 6, turns over the ball to the quartet of relievers. Chapman gets the save. It is 3-2 going back to Houston. Now, the choice here for AJ Hinch was real complicated. He could go to Garrett Cole for Game 7, or potentially, or go to Game 6 and try to slam the door. I thought the move here was to save Garrett Cole for Game 7, and if they can win it in 6, then you have Garrett Cole for Game 1 against Max Scherzer and the Washington Nationals. That's what AJ Hinch decided to do. He decided to go bullpen game. He started Brad Peacock. Yankees counter with Chad Green. Yuli Gurriel hits a home run off of Chad Green. It seems like the thing is they caught on to what Chad Green was doing after he threw, 17 innings out of the bullpen, because Aaron Boone always went to Chad Green first. Maybe you should have saved Chad Green a little bit. I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense. Didi Gregorius double. Gary Sanchez is an RBI single to make it 3-1. Brad Peacock only goes an inning and 2/3. Both openers pitched effectively. Chad Green got the ball destroyed off him by Yuli Gurriel. That hurt. Gio Urshela hits a home run to make it 3-2. Bregman on a fielder's choice makes it 4-2. A DJ LeMahieu two-run home run off of Roberto Osuna in the 9th for the blown save. And that set up the dramatics of Jose Altuve hitting a hanging slider off of a roll to Chapman deep after George Springer was able to work a 2-out walk. Astros win Game 6. Final score of 6-4. Yep, 6-4. I don't know why Chapman was relying on the slider as much as he was in that game. He has that blow-it-away fastball, and he just didn't want to throw it. He decided that he wanted to get pretty. And the thing I don't like about this, and I know fans are going to take this to heart, and that's fine, why was Aroldis Chapman smiling after giving up a home run? He just lost his team the chance of playing the World Series, and he's, happy about it. I'm sorry, dude. Maybe you should have, walked off the mound and walked in the dugout, walked into your clubhouse, let out some rage. But you're literally standing on the mound as Jose Altuve is rounding the bases, and you're smiling, waiting for him to round third. I'm sorry, if I let up a home run, the first thing I'm doing, I'm just going to turn around and walk off the mound. There's no reason for you to be out there anymore. You didn't do your job. The Yankee bullpen, the thing that they had been great at all year, how great their bullpen was. It's all we heard from every sports fan, every Yankee fan, every baseball guy, that their bullpen was the greatest bullpen of all time. That bullpen failed them in this series. That bullpen did not slam the door when it had the opportunity to. So unfortunately, it's not the greatest bullpen of all time. It's the greatest shambles of all time, and they deserve to be gone because of what Aaron Boone decided to do by taxing the 5 guys out of that bullpen that they actually had that were decent. So at the end of the day, I don't feel sorry for them. I don't feel sorry for anybody involved in it. I feel like it was Aaron Boone's managerial decisions that got them into that mess. They win Game 1 7-0, and then they don't step on the throat. Anytime you can get home field advantage and not have to win 4 games in Houston, I don't know, maybe you should hold home field, something they couldn't do. It's just one of those things where it didn't make any sense. Astros outscore the Yankees 22-21 over the 6 games. Funny, the 1-run difference is the run that the Astros scored to win in extra innings. So, a lot of fun there. That is the wrap-up of the LCSs. Astros in 6, Nats sweep the Cardinals as we get ready for the 2019 World Series. All right, let's move on to the 2019 Fall Classic. Astros, Nats, we'll talk about each team's roster. We'll go into the starting lineups for Game 1 and who I think has the edge at each position as we proceed. We'll start with the American League champion Houston Astros. The big surprise here is the lack of a left-handed pitcher coming out of the bullpen to go up against Juan Soto. The pitchers for the Houston Astros, Garrett Cole, who's in line to start game number 1 later tonight. Chris Davinsky, Zach Greinke, who's the projected Game 3 starter. Will Harris, Josh James, Roberto Osuna, Brad Peacock, Ryan Presley, who's got a knee contusion, may miss some time, not 100% sure about that. We'll keep an eye on him. Hector Rendon, Joe Smith, Jose Urquidy, and the Game 2 starter Justin Verlander. The infielders for the Houston Astros are Jose Altuve, Alex Bregman, Carlos Correa, Elitnis Diaz, and Yuli Gurriel. The outfielders, Yordan Alvarez, Michael Brantley, Josh Reddick, George Springer, Kyle Tucker. The catchers are Martin Maldonado and Robinson Chirino. Like I said, the big thing here is that there's no lefty out of that pen, which means no Wade Miley on this roster. The only change is they added Chris Davinsky. They took off... I want to see exactly who it was so I know what I'm talking about here. They took off Brian Abreu. Abreu off, Davinsky on for the AL champion Houston Astros. The official 25-man roster for the National League champion Washington Nationals. The pitchers, right-handed on the side of the bump, is Javi Guerrera. The closer, Daniel Hudson. Tanner Rainey, Fernando Rodney, Joe Ross, Anibal Sanchez. Game 1 starter, Max Scherzer. Game 2 starter, Steven Strasburg, Wander Suero. The lefties are Patrick Corbin, who's projected to start Game 3 unless they go to him out of the pen, which is possible, and then Sean Doolittle, who's the setup man for Daniel Hudson. The infielders, Fat Adams, a.k.a. Matt Adams. He's kind of Fat Kid certified. I love me some Matt Adams. Asdrubal Cabrera, who's probably going to play a main cog in this Houston part of this series. Brian Dozier, Howie Kendrick, the NLCS MVP. Anthony Rendon, who's probably going to finish in the top 3 of the National League MVP ballot. Trey Turner, and Mr. National himself, Ryan Zimmerman. The outfielders, Adam Eaton, Gerardo Parra, who brought Baby Shark to DC. We love Baby Shark. Victor Robles, Juan Soto, and Michael A. Taylor. The catchers, Yan Gomes and Kurt Suzuki. No Ronnie Elias, who was on the NLCS. He is off. No Hunter Strickland. He is not on it. I like the depth that the pitching staff of the Washington Nationals has for this. I think they have a chance here to be very, very interesting. We're going to go now to position by position who I think has the edge throughout the series. I'm going to give you the lineups for Game 1, and then I'm going to give you my projection who I think is going to win the series. We'll start behind the plate. The tandem of Yan Gomes and Kurt Suzuki versus Robinson Chirino and Martin Maldonado. I love the fact that Kurt Suzuki has been playing well even though he got hit by a pitch in that Dodgers series. He is the offensive catcher. Yan Gomes more defensive based. Martin Maldonado and Robinson Chirino, they're not going to do anything to excite you with the bats. They may run into a flat one if you throw it to them. So with that being said, I'll give the edge on the catching list to the Washington Nationals. At first base, it is Mr. National Ryan Zimmerman versus Yuli Gurriel. Gurriel has been pretty much missing in action since the entire playoffs. With the issue of the 3-run home run he was hitting like 165 before that. Mr. Nat, Ryan Zimmerman, has been big for them throughout this. He's playing probably the best baseball of his season right now. I will give a slight edge to the Nationals at first base going into the series based off of what they've done so far in the 2019 playoffs. At second base, it's the battle of the LCS MVPs, Howie Kendrick versus Jose Altuve. I can't talk today. It's all over the place. I'm like, super excited. World Series this is on. Baby. I will take the former American League MVP. I will take the ALCS MVP, Jose Altuve. I think this one's pretty simple. I don't know if Howie Kendrick's going to be able to do what he did in the NLCS again, but we'll see. I'll give the edge to Altuve and the Astros. Shortstop, Carlos Correa of the Astros versus Trey Turner of the Nats. This is closer than a lot of people would expect. Everyone wants to give the edge to Carlos Correa because he's the household name. He's the guy who hit a 3-run home run in that Yankee series. He's a guy that everybody knows. I'm going to say not so fast, my friends. Trey Turner's a really good shortstop. He's really great defensively. He's a big piece of that offense. The leadoff guy, he finds a way to get on base for Adam Eaton and Anthony Rendon and Juan Soto. So I think Trey Turner's got to get some credit here. I'm going to go push on the battle of the shortstops. The next battle is a battle that we can sit here and we can talk about all day. We can sit here and go back and forth about it. It is the third base position. It is a guy who's going to be a front runner for the AL MVP. That is Alex Bregman. And a guy who's a front runner for the National League MVP and Anthony Rendon. You guys can go back and forth about this. They both hit the ball well all year. Alex Bregman's walk rate was a little bit better than Anthony Rendon's, but they each put the ball in play. They each hit the ball hard. They each drove in runs. They were big for their teams in clutch situations. I'm going to go push on this as well. I think a lot of people are going to not think about Anthony Rendon because he's not the flashy name. He's not the guy that's going to sit there and talk smack on national television. Alex Bregman has zero chill. I love both guys. I think they're both great athletes. I will take a push at third base. We will go to left field. The 22-year-old rookie Juan Soto versus the veteran Michael Brantley. Brantley puts up great at-bats every time he's in the box. That's why they have him in the 3-hole. But there's only Juan Soto. And I will take Juan Soto and give the edge in left field to the Washington Nationals. Jackson is so excited right now to talk about Juan Soto. I don't know. It's like he knows that the Nationals are the baby shark team of the century. So I will give the edge to the Nationals. In center field, it is the former World Series MVP George Springer for the Houston Astros against Victor Robles. I think this one's probably the easiest one that we're going to talk about. I will give the edge to the Houston Astros. George Springer, big guy for them. Leadoff guy, gets the motor running, gets the way to get on base for Altuve, Bregman, Brantley, Yuli Gurriel whenever he's actually swinging the bat. Right field's a lot closer than people think. I will give a slight edge to Adam Eaton of the Washington Nationals over Josh Reddick, but that one's a lot closer than people would think. The designated hitter spot, in Game 1 it is Howie Kendrick. So as Drupal Cabrera is going to second base, I had this as Kendrick / Matt Adams. I think Matt Adams might get some at-bats here versus Yordan Alvarez. I think the edge goes to the AL Rookie of the Year contender, Yordan Alvarez. Even though he's not swinging the bat great right now, he's a little bit more of a for sure thing as the DH. I think Howie Kendrick plays really well when he plays second base because he stays in the game. With him not being on second base, it may play a role. The starting pitchers, Steven Strasburg, Max Scherzer, Anibal Sanchez, and Patrick Corbin versus Zach Greinke, Garrett Cole, and Justin Verlander. I will give the edge slightly to the Washington Nationals just because of what they're getting from Anibal Sanchez. There isn't a fourth guy in that Astro rotation that they can go to right now, so I'm a little worried about that. I'm a little worried that you may have to rely heavily on Verlander and Cole to pitch 2 or 3 times in this series, where the Nationals have a little bit more length. So I will give a slight edge to the Washington Nationals. Bullpen, edge slightly to the Washington Nationals here as well. I don't like the fact that Houston doesn't have a lefty on their staff for the bullpen. No one to go after Gerardo Parra if he comes off the bench. Nobody to go after Juan Soto, who's in the lineup. Nobody to go after a guy like Matt Adams if he comes off the bench. It's all righties. And I think the Nats will take advantage of that early in this playoff situation. And unless there's an injury and they bring a lefty on, this may be a long series for that Astros bullpen. The closer role, I will give the edge to Roberto Ozuna of the Houston Astros over Daniel Hudson. He's more of the for sure thing, so I will take Ozuna over Hudson in the closer role. Now, finally, the starting lineups for Game 1 of the World Series. The American League Houston Astros, they're going to run out the team of George Springer in center, Jose Altuve at second, Michael Brantley in left, Alex Bregman at third, Yuli Gurriel at first, Carlos Correa at short, Yordan Alvarez the designated hitter, Martin Maldonado is the catcher, Josh Reddick in right field. The starting pitcher is Garrett Cole. The lineup for the Washington Nationals, Trey Turner's at short, Adam Eaton is in right, Anthony Rendon's at third, Juan Soto in left, Howie Kendrick is the designated hitter, Asdrubal Cabrera is at second, Ryan Zimmerman is at first, Kurt Suzuki is the catcher, and Victor Robles is the center fielder. Starting pitcher is Max Scherzer. There will be a moment of silence before tonight's game to celebrate the life of Eric Cooper, Major League umpire who passed away, unfortunately, after a heart attack. He actually worked the Yankee Twins series early in the playoffs. Unfortunately, he has passed away due to a heart attack. Our thoughts and prayers are with Eric Cooper's family. And I'm going to close this one out with a special moment for me because unfortunate news from Palm Beach. First ever SportsCenter anchor and the president of the NABA until he sold it. Lou Palmer unfortunately passed away on Friday after a battle with cancer. I got to play in the NABA for a couple seasons before he sold it, and Lou was a great guy. I got to talk to him about baseball, which he loved to do. He was a scorekeeper, official scorekeeper for the Florida State League for the Cardinals. So it's unfortunate that we lost Lou, but he loved baseball, and he's going to get a front row ticket to tonight's Game 1 of the World Series between the Nationals and the Astros. My prediction for this series, I'm going to take, and I'm going to hope that the Washington Nationals win this. I will take the Nationals in 6. I don't think they can get it done at home, but I think they do win the series. I think it's going to be a good one. So if you're a baseball fan, strap it in. Garrett Cole versus Max Scherzer, Justin Verlander versus Steven Strasburg. Patrick Corbin's going to get somebody, and then maybe we'll get Anibal Sanchez versus Garrett Cole in game number 4. But that is my World Series preview. I will be back to talk after game number 2. I'm going to do this as the travel days. I'll get a new video up to break down what's happened, be a little bit more in depth on the World Series. So follow me on Instagram at FatKidCertifiedSE. Follow me on Twitter at TheyCallMeBurn. Facebook, FatKidCertifiedSE as well. Like, subscribe, thumbs up, hit the bell for all the notifications. And I'll be back to talk more World Series. We'll get some first half NFL takes. Who's going to be on a fire sale, who's not going to be on a fire sale. And that much more coming up on our episodes of Fat Kid Certified Sports Entertainment. So I'm going to go get ready for Game 1 of the World Series. I'm going to go cook all the food that I can find, and we're going to go snack. So until then, let's eat.